The Great Hall of the Galactic Council was filled with fear. Representatives from 100 different worlds stood in their places, but nobody moved. Nobody spoke. They all stared at the massive creature lying on the floor in the center of the room. It was a wolf, but not like any wolf from Earth. This beast was as large as an elephant. Its body was covered in sharp crystal spikes that glowed with a strange blue light. Each breath it took sounded like breaking glass. The wolf's eyes were closed, and its massive chest rose and fell slowly. Too slowly. Next to the dying creature stood King Vexthor. He was tall, nearly 3 meters high, with dark purple skin and 4 arms. His red eyes swept across the council members. Everyone could see the anger in those eyes. Everyone could feel the danger in the air. "I have asked you all to come here for one reason," the king said. His voice was deep and made the floor shake. "My companion is dying. Ashura has been with me for 3,000 years. She has protected my people. She has fought beside me in every battle, and now she suffers from a sickness that my doctors cannot cure." The wolf made a small sound of pain. Several council members stepped back. "I need one of you to heal her," King Vexthor continued. "Whoever saves Ashura will have the eternal friendship of the Draknor Empire. But if she dies," he let the words hang in the air. Nobody needed him to finish that sentence. The first to speak was Dr. Zelmoth, a being made of pure energy contained in a suit. "Your Majesty, I cannot help. My people do not understand crystal biology. It is too different from our own." "I could try," said another doctor. "This one with 6 legs and green skin. But the risk is too great. That creature has destroyed 12 warships. She killed 300 soldiers in the Battle of Kornax. If she wakes up during treatment, she is in pain." King Vexthor shouted. She would not attack a doctor trying to help her. But the 6-legged doctor shook his head. "I am sorry, Your Majesty. I cannot take that risk." One by one, every doctor in the council gave their excuses. Too dangerous. Too different. Too unknown. The truth was simple. They were all afraid. Hyun stood at the back of the Great Hall. He was small compared to most beings here. Just a human. Barely considered important enough to be in this room. He had come to the Galactic Council only 6 months ago. Earth had just joined the community of space-traveling worlds, and they needed representatives. Hyun had been sent because he was a veterinarian, an animal doctor. Earth thought having someone who understood creatures might be useful. Now Hyun watched the giant wolf suffer. He saw the way her crystal body was changing color, turning from blue to a sick gray. He saw the way her breathing became harder with each moment. And he saw something else that nobody else seemed to notice. When King Vexthor touched the wolf's head, Ashura leaned into his hand. Even in pain, even sick and dying, she trusted her companion. This was not a monster. This was someone's beloved friend. "Excuse me," Hyun said quietly. Nobody heard him. The council members were arguing now. Some wanted to help the king. Others wanted to send him away before he became angry and started a war. "Excuse me," Hyun said again. Louder this time. A few beings turned to look at him, D. The senior diplomat from Earth grabbed Hyun's arm. "Don't," he whispered urgently. "Don't get involved. This is too dangerous for us," but Hyun pulled his arm free. He walked forward, through the crowd of giant aliens until he stood in front of King Vexthor. The king looked down at him. "What is this, a human? Your species is barely worthy of being in this council. What could you possibly want?" "I want to try to help your companion," Hyun said. His voice shook a little, but he kept his eyes on the king. "I am a doctor for animals on my world. I have worked with many creatures. Some were dangerous. Some were sick. Some were both. But I always tried to help them." The council chamber erupted in noise. Beings shouted that this was foolish. Humans were weak. Humans knew nothing about alien biology. This would only make things worse. King Vexthor raised one hand and everyone fell silent. He studied Hyun carefully. "You would risk your life for a creature you have never met? For a beast that could kill you with one bite? She is suffering," Hyun said simply. "That is all I need to know." For a long moment the king said nothing. Then slowly he nodded. "Very well, human. You may try. But if you fail, if Ashura dies while you treat her, I will consider it an act of war against my empire." "That is not fair," Day shouted from the back. "You cannot threaten us like that." "I am not threatening," King Vexthor said coldly. "I am telling you what will happen." This human offered to help. Nobody forced him. "If he fails, Earth will pay the price." Hyun swallowed hard. He had not expected this. But when he looked at the suffering wolf again, he knew he could not walk away. "I understand," he said. He approached Ashra slowly. The wolf's eyes opened. They were like looking into pools of liquid silver. She watched Hyun come closer. Her lips pulled back, showing teeth as long as knives. A low growl came from her throat. "It's okay," Hyun said softly. "I'm here to help. I know you're in pain. I know you're scared. But I promise I will try my best to make you feel better." He reached out his hand. Every being in the council held their breath. One snap of those jaws and Hyun would be dead. Hyun placed his hand gently on Ashra's forehead. The crystal was hot, burning with fever. The wolf tensed, ready to bite. But then something strange happened. Hyun did not pull away. He did not show fear. He just kept his hand there, gentle and calm. Ashra's growl slowly faded. She looked confused. In 3,000 years, only King Vexthor had ever touched her without fear. Now this tiny creature, this human, was not afraid either. The wolf's eyes closed again. She let out a long breath and relaxed under Hyun's touch. "Amazing," someone whispered in the crowd. Hyun began his examination. He looked at the wolf's eyes, her teeth, her breathing. He touched different parts of her crystal body carefully. The other beings watched in silence, unable to believe what they were seeing. King Vexthor stood beside Hyun. "Can you save her?" he asked quietly. Hyun did not answer right away. He was too focused on understanding what was wrong. Finally, he looked up at the king. "I don't know," he said honestly, "but I will try. I will try with everything I have." The king nodded slowly. "That is all I can ask." And so, while the galaxy watched, a small human from Earth began the impossible task of healing the most dangerous creature in the known universe. The quarantine bay was cold and quiet. Hyun had been working for 3 days straight. His eyes were red from lack of sleep. His hands shook from exhaustion. But he did not stop. Ashra lay on a special platform in the center of the room. Medical equipment surrounded her, beeping and flashing. But none of it was helping. The gray color was spreading across her crystal body. She was getting worse. King Vexthor had not left the bay even once. He sat in a corner watching everything. His forearms were crossed and his face showed no emotion, but Hyun could see the worry in the king's red eyes. "The results are back," said Dr. Zelmoth through the speaker. He refused to enter the room with the wolf. "The sickness is caused by something we have never seen before. It is a parasite, but made of silicon instead of carbon. Our medicines do not work on it." Hyun looked at the test results on his screen. The numbers made no sense. This was not like anything he had studied. Crystal biology was completely new to him. How could he cure something he did not understand? "Perhaps you should give up," Dr. Zelmoth suggested, "before you make things worse. Before she dies and your planet pays the price." Hyun turned off the speaker. He did not need that kind of talk right now. He sat down next to Ashra's head. The wolf's breathing was shallow. Her eyes were half open, but she did not seem to see anything. Hyun placed his hand on her forehead again, just like he had in the council chamber. "I don't know what to do," he whispered to her. "Their technology isn't working. Their medicines aren't working. I only know how to help animals from Earth, but you're not from Earth." Ashra made a small sound. It was barely more than a breath. "But you're still suffering," Hyun continued. "And I can't just watch you suffer." He thought about his grandmother. She had taught him traditional medicine when he was young. Before he went to university to become a veterinarian, she had shown him how to use herbs and natural treatments. The old ways, she called them. Everyone thought those old ways were useless now. Modern medicine was better. Science was better. But Hyun's grandmother had told him something important. Sometimes the simple answer is the right answer. Sometimes we make things too complicated. Hyun stood up suddenly. "I need to send a message to Earth," he said to King Vexthor. "I need supplies." The king did not move. "What kind of supplies?" "Plants, herbs, things from my world. I know it sounds strange, but I want to try something different. Your advanced technology is not working. Maybe something simple will." "Plants?" King Vexthor's voice was full of doubt. "You think primitive Earth plants can cure a silicon-based parasite?" "I don't know," Hyun admitted. "But doing nothing is the same as giving up. Will you let me try?" The king looked at his dying companion. Then he nodded. "Send your message. But hurry, she does not have much time." Hyun sent an emergency request to Earth. He needed specific herbs that his grandmother had taught him about. Ginger root for inflammation, ginseng for strength, turmeric for purification. He also needed heat lamps like the ones used for reptiles on Earth. The council refused to let his supplies through. "This is foolishness," they declared. "We cannot waste resources on failed experiments." But King Vexthor threatened them. "If you do not let the supplies through, I will consider it an act of war." The supplies arrived the next day. With them came Rena, another human from Earth. She was a young scientist who studied alien life forms. "I heard what you're doing," she said to Hyun. "I want to help." "It might be dangerous," Hyun warned. Rena smiled. "Everything worth doing is a little dangerous." Together they began the treatment. Hyun ground the herbs into a paste. He mixed them with a special gel that could be absorbed through crystal. The other alien doctors watched through cameras and laughed. "Look at the primitive humans," they said, playing with weeds and hoping for magic. But Hyun ignored them. He carefully applied the paste to Ashura's body, focusing on the areas where the gray color was darkest. Then he positioned the heat lamps around her. Crystal creatures needed specific wavelengths of light, just like plants on Earth needed sunlight. "This is based on what principle?" Rena asked, curious. "My grandmother used to treat sick animals with heat and herbs," Hyun explained. "She said that sometimes the body just needs help to heal itself. We don't always need to kill the disease. Sometimes we just need to make the body stronger so it can fight on its own." They worked through the night. Hyun applied the paste every 2 hours. Rena monitored Ashura's vital signs. King Vexthor watched in silence. As dawn approached, something changed. The gray color on Ashura's chest seemed lighter. Just a little bit. It was so small that Hyun thought he might be imagining it. "Look," Rena said, pointing at the scanner. "Her body temperature is rising." "That's good. She was too cold before." By the afternoon, the change was clear. The gray was definitely fading. Ashura's breathing became stronger. Her crystal body began to glow with a faint blue light again. "It's working," Hyun said, hardly able to believe it. "It's actually working." Dr. Zelmoth's voice came through the speaker. "Impossible. Our scans show the parasite is weakening. How is this possible?" "I think the heat is making the silicon parasite uncomfortable," Rena explained. "And the herbs have compounds that might be toxic to silicon-based life. The parasite is dying." More alien doctors crowded around the cameras now. They were not laughing anymore. They were taking notes. "What is the exact composition of your paste?" one asked. "How did you know to use heat?" asked another. Hyun did not answer them. He was too focused on Ashura. Her eyes opened fully for the first time in days. She looked at Hyun and made a sound like chiming bells. It was not a growl. It was something else. Something gentle. King Vexthor stood up and walked over. He placed one of his hands on Ashura's head, right next to where Hyun was standing. "She is saying thank you," the king said quietly. In her language, that sound means gratitude. Tears came to Hyun's eyes. He was so tired, so stressed that he could not hold them back. "I'm just glad she's feeling better." But the treatment was not finished. For 5 more days, Hyun and Rena continued their work. They applied the paste. They adjusted the heat lamps. They monitored every small change in Ashura's condition. The gray color faded completely. The blue glow grew brighter. Ashura began to move again, first just her head, then her legs. On the 6th day, she stood up. The entire Galactic Council watched through live video as the massive wolf stretched her body. Her crystal spikes glowed with beautiful blue light. She looked healthy. She looked strong. She looked alive. Ashura walked over to Hyun on legs that did not shake. She lowered her enormous head and pressed it gently against his chest. Her tail wagged back and forth. "She has never done that for anyone except me," King Vexthor said. There was wonder in his voice. "She has accepted you as pack. As family." Hyun wrapped his arms around Ashura's neck. The crystal was warm now, not burning with fever, but warm with life. "I'm so happy you're okay," he whispered. The speaker crackled to life. It was the Galactic Council. "We demand to know your methods," they said. "We need complete documentation of this treatment. This is the most significant medical breakthrough in centuries." Hyun looked at Rena. She looked back at him. Then they both looked at King Vexthor. The king smiled. It was the first time Hyun had seen him smile. "Tell them nothing yet," King Vexthor said. "Let them wonder. Let them realize that they were wrong about humans." Let them understand that sometimes the smallest and weakest can achieve what the great and powerful cannot. Ashura chimed her bell-like sound again. This time it was louder, fuller, and it sounded like joy. Outside the quarantine bay, the galaxy was beginning to understand something important. Humanity had just saved a life that everyone else said was impossible to save. And they had done it not with advanced technology, not with complicated science, but with simple care, ancient wisdom, and something that many species had forgotten: compassion. 3 weeks had passed since Ashura's recovery. The massive crystal wolf was completely healthy now. She moved with grace and power, her blue light shining brightly, but something unexpected had happened. Something that amazed everyone who saw it. Ashura would not leave Hyun's side. Wherever Hyun went, the giant wolf followed. When Hyun ate in the dining hall, Ashura lay beside his table. When Hyun walked through the corridors of the space station, Ashura walked with him. When Hyun slept, Ashura curled up outside his door. "This is highly unusual," King Vexthor said. He sat with Hyun in a private meeting room. Ashura lay between them, her head resting on Hyun's lap. "She has been my companion for 3,000 years. She has never bonded with another being before. I don't know why she likes me so much," Hyun said, scratching behind Ashura's crystalline ears. "Maybe she just remembers that I helped her." "It is more than that," the king said. "In my culture, we believe that wolves like Ashura can sense the spirit of a person. She does not bond with just anyone. She bonds with those who have a pure heart." Hyun felt his face grow warm. "I'm not special. I just did what any doctor would do." "No," King Vexthor said firmly. "Any doctor would have looked at her and seen danger. You looked at her and saw suffering. That is the difference." There was a knock on the door. Rena entered with 3 other humans. Hyun recognized them from the messages he had received. Tae was a xenobiologist who studied alien life. June was a linguist who spoke 40 different languages. Mirai was a negotiator who helped solve conflicts between species. "We came as soon as Earth gave us permission," Mirai said. "We heard about what you did, Hyun. The whole planet is talking about it. You're a hero back home." "I'm not a hero," Hyun protested. "I just saved the life of the most powerful creature in the galaxy and prevented a war." Tae interrupted. "Yes, very ordinary. We do that every Tuesday." Everyone laughed, even King Vexthor. "Why did you all come?" Hyun asked. "Because the Galactic Council is requesting more information about human medicine," June explained. "And because 17 different species have asked Earth for help with their own medical problems. Apparently, after seeing what you did, everyone thinks humans have secret healing knowledge." "We don't have secret knowledge," Hyun said. "We just care, we try. We don't give up." "That's exactly what makes it special," Mirai said. "Most species in the galaxy are very logical. When something seems impossible, they stop trying. Humans are different. We keep trying even when logic says we should quit." King Vexthor listened to this conversation with great interest. "Tell me," he said to the group, "why did your species develop this way? Why do humans care so much, even for things that are not human?" The humans looked at each other. Finally, Rena spoke. "On Earth, we have a word in Korean, jong. It doesn't translate well, but it means a deep connection that forms between people through shared experiences, through spending time together, through caring for each other. We don't just have this feeling for other humans," Tae added. "We have it for animals too, for plants, for places. Humans form emotional connections with almost everything." "That sounds exhausting," King Vexthor said. "Sometimes it is," Hyun agreed. "But it also makes life beautiful. When you care about something, even taking care of it becomes meaningful." Ashura lifted her head and chimed softly. King Vexthor smiled. "She agrees with you." Over the next few days, the human team worked together with King Vexthor. He wanted to understand human culture better. He asked hundreds of questions. Why did humans have so many different languages? Why did they create art? Why did they tell stories? "Because we need to share our feelings," June explained. "Language lets us connect with each other. Art lets us express what words cannot say. Stories teach us and help us remember important lessons." King Vexthor took them to see his homeworld through a holographic display. It was a beautiful planet covered in crystal forests and silver oceans. But the cities looked cold. Everything was made of metal and stone. There were no parks, no gardens, no places that seemed made just for enjoyment. "We build things to be efficient," the king explained. "Beauty is not important. Function is important. But doesn't that make you sad? Mirai asked gently. Don't you ever want to just sit somewhere nice and relax? King Vexthor thought about this for a long moment. I never considered it before, he admitted. In my empire, we are raised to be strong, to be powerful. Emotions are seen as weakness. Emotions aren't weakness, Hyun said. They're what make life worth living. When I feel happy, I know I'm doing something right. When I feel sad, I know something needs to change. Emotions guide us. The king looked at Ashura, who was still resting beside Hyun. When Ashura was sick, I felt something I had not felt in many years. Fear. I was afraid of losing her. I thought this fear made me weak. But now I understand. That fear was because I love her. And love is not weakness. Love is strength, Rena said. It gives us a reason to fight. A reason to try. A reason to keep going when things are hard. That evening, the Galactic Council called for an assembly. All the member species gathered. The human team was asked to present their findings about Ashura's treatment. But when they arrived at the Great Hall, they found something surprising. King Vexthor was already standing at the center, and he looked angry. I have been in this council for 600 years, the king announced, his voice echoing through the chamber. I have followed your rules. I have listened to your advice. But when I needed help, when my companion was dying, every single one of you refused to try. You were all too afraid, too proud, too certain that you knew better. The council members shifted uncomfortably. Then a human stepped forward. King Vexthor continued. A species you all mock. A species you consider primitive and weak. This human risked his life, risked his planet's safety to help a creature he had never met. And he succeeded where all of you failed. He turned to look at Hyun and the other humans. I asked these humans to explain their success. Do you know what they told me? They said it was not special knowledge. It was not advanced technology. It was simply caring. Simply trying. Simply refusing to give up. King Vexthor's forearms spread wide. I am here today to make an announcement that will shock you all. The Draknor Empire is forming an alliance with Earth. Not because humans are powerful, not because they have resources we need, but because they have something we lack. Something this entire galaxy has forgotten. He paused, letting the silence build. They have heart, the king said. They have compassion. They have the courage to care when caring is difficult. And these qualities are more valuable than any weapon, more powerful than any technology. The hall erupted in noise. Some species protested, some cheered. Some seemed confused. The leader of the council, an ancient being made of living stone, raised his hand for silence. This is unprecedented, he said. The Draknor Empire has never allied with anyone. King Vexthor, are you certain about this decision? I have never been more certain of anything, the king replied. He walked over to Hyun and placed one of his large hands on the human's shoulder. This person saved my closest friend. He did not do it for reward. He did not do it for fame. He did it because it was the right thing to do. If that is what humans are like, then I want my empire to learn from them. Ashura stood up and walked to Hyun's other side. She pressed against him protectively. The sight of the massive wolf standing guard over a small human sent a clear message to everyone watching. Humans were no longer weak. They were no longer insignificant. They had earned the respect of the most powerful empire in the galaxy. And they had done it not through war or conquest, but through the simple act of caring. Mirai stepped forward. On behalf of Earth, we accept this alliance. We promise to share our knowledge and our culture with the Draknor Empire, and we promise to always try our best to help those in need. The Council had no choice but to accept. A new age had begun, an age where humanity would show the galaxy that strength comes in many forms, and sometimes the strongest thing anyone can do is simply care. The celebration did not last long. Hyun woke up in the middle of the night to the sound of Ashura howling. It was not a normal sound. It was filled with pain. He jumped out of bed and ran to find her. The crystal wolf was in the common area, her body shaking violently. The blue glow that had returned to her was flickering like a dying light. Gray patches were spreading across her crystal again. No, Hyun whispered. No. This can't be happening. Rena came running, still in her sleeping clothes. What's wrong? She's sick again, Hyun said, his voice breaking. The sickness came back. They rushed Ashura to the medical bay. Tae and June arrived quickly, followed by King Vexthor. The king's face was hard as stone, but his eyes showed pure fear. How is this possible? The king demanded. You cured her. The parasite was gone. I don't know, Hyun said, his hands shaking as he examined Ashura. This doesn't make sense. We killed the parasite. I saw it die in the scans. Mireille burst into the room with her computer tablet. Her face was pale. It's not just Ashura, she said. I've been monitoring galactic news feeds. There are reports coming in from 17 different planets. Crystal-based life forms are getting sick. All of them have the same symptoms. Show me, King Vexthor commanded. Mireille projected the news onto the wall screen. Reports were flooding in. A crystal forest on planet Xerion was turning gray. Crystal birds on Talvex were falling from the sky. Even small crystal formations in museums were beginning to decay. This is not a natural disease, Tay said, studying the patterns. The spread is too fast, too coordinated. This is an attack. As if responding to his words, every screen in the medical bay suddenly changed. A symbol appeared, a red circle with a black star inside. Then a voice spoke, mechanical and cold. People of the galaxy, we are the Shadow Collective. For too long, the Draknor Empire has ruled through fear and violence. King Vexthor has destroyed worlds. He has enslaved populations. He has shown no mercy. King Vexthor's fists clenched. We have created a weapon, the voice continued. A plague that targets crystal biology. It cannot be cured. It cannot be stopped. Already thousands are dying. Soon it will be millions. We give you one choice. Surrender King Vexthor to us for trial, or watch as the infection consumes everything. The message ended. The screens went dark. Silence filled the medical bay. Then Ashura made a weak chiming sound. She was getting worse. I need to go, King Vexthor said quietly. If surrendering myself will stop this plague, I must do it. No, Hyun said firmly. That's not how this works. These people, this Shadow Collective, they won't stop even if you surrender. They want power. Giving in to them will only make things worse. But innocent beings are dying, the king said, because of me. Because of my past actions. Your past actions were not good, Mireille said carefully. But punishing you won't bring back the dead. And it won't save the living. We need to find another way. June was typing rapidly on his computer. I'm trying to trace where that message came from. If we can find the Shadow Collective, maybe we can find a cure. Or destroy them, King Vexthor said darkly. Or both, Rena added. For hours they worked. June used every trick he knew to trace the signal. Tay studied the new plague, comparing it to the original infection. Mireille contacted her diplomatic channels, trying to find information about the Shadow Collective. Hyun stayed with Ashura, doing everything he could to make her comfortable. By dawn, they had answers. Not good answers, but answers. The Shadow Collective is operating from the Forbidden Sector, June announced. Specifically, a dead planet called Vorath. It used to be a research station, but it was abandoned 200 years ago after a radiation leak. How are they creating the plague? Hyun asked. Tay pulled up a holographic model. They're using a corrupted crystal matrix as a transmitter. It sends out a signal that infects other crystal-based life forms. It's brilliant and terrible at the same time. Can we stop it? King Vexthor asked. Maybe, Tay said. If we can get to the source and destroy the matrix. But there's a problem, Mireille added. The Forbidden Sector is protected by automated defense systems. No ship can get through without being destroyed. That's why it's called the Forbidden Sector. King Vexthor stood up. My fleet can get through. The Draknor ships are the most advanced in the galaxy. We will go to Vorath. We will destroy this matrix, and we will make the Shadow Collective pay for what they have done. We're coming with you, Hyun said immediately. No, the king replied. This is too dangerous. You are civilians. You are not warriors. But we're your allies, Rena said. And allies help each other. She's right, Mireille added. Besides, you'll need Tay to identify the matrix. You'll need June to disable their security systems. You'll need all of us. King Vexthor looked at each of them, these small humans who had already done so much. He knew they would be in great danger, but he also knew they were right. He needed their help. Very well, he said. But you follow my orders, all of you. This is a military operation now. They prepared quickly. King Vexthor's flagship was massive, bigger than 10 human buildings put together. The crew was entirely Draknor warriors, tall and fierce. They looked at the humans with curiosity and some suspicion. Ashura was brought aboard in a special medical pod. She was too weak to walk now. Hyun stayed beside her pod every moment, holding his hand against the crystal where she could feel it. Hold on. He whispered to her. We're going to fix this. I promise. The journey to the Forbidden Sector took 2 days. During that time, more reports came in. The plague was spreading faster. Entire populations of crystal beings were dying. The Galactic Council was in chaos. Some species wanted to surrender King Vexthor, others wanted to fight. Nobody could agree on anything. When they reached the Forbidden Sector, the automated defenses activated immediately. Massive laser cannons emerged from hidden asteroids. Missile platforms powered up. The space around them lit up with weapons fire. But King Vexthor's fleet was ready. The Draknor ships moved with incredible precision, dodging and weaving through the attacks. Their own weapons returned fire, destroying the defense systems one by one. "There," June said, pointing at a screen. "That's Vorath. The dead planet. It looked exactly like its name suggested. Gray and lifeless, covered in ruins. But deep scans showed something else. There was a facility underground. A facility that was very much active. I'm reading massive energy signatures," Tay reported. "That must be where the corrupted matrix is located." King Vexthor gave orders to his warriors. They would land on Vorath. They would fight their way to the facility. They would destroy the matrix. "And if the matrix is destroyed," Hyun asked, "will that cure everyone?" Tay hesitated. "I think so. But I'm not certain. This technology is beyond anything I've seen before. Destroying the matrix might cure everyone. Or it might cause a chain reaction that destroys this entire sector of space." "Those are not good odds," Mirai said. "They're the only odds we have." King Vexthor replied. The ships landed on Vorath's surface. The planet was even more desolate up close. Broken buildings stretched as far as the eye could see. The air was thin and cold. Red dust covered everything. They found the entrance to the underground facility quickly. It was guarded by automated robots, but King Vexthor's warriors destroyed them easily. Inside the facility, they followed the energy signatures deeper and deeper underground. The walls were covered in strange markings. The air hummed with power. Then they heard it. A voice. The same mechanical voice from the broadcast. "Welcome, King Vexthor. We have been waiting for you." Doors slammed shut behind them. Lights flickered on, revealing a massive chamber. And in the center of that chamber, pulsing with sick gray light, was the corrupted crystal matrix. But they were not alone. Hundreds of Shadow Collective soldiers surrounded them, weapons drawn. "You fell right into our trap," the voice said. A figure stepped forward, wearing a black mask. "We knew you would come. We knew your pride would not let you surrender. And now you will die here along with your human pets, and the galaxy will finally be free of the Draknor Empire." King Vexthor drew his weapon. His warriors did the same. The humans stood in the center, protected by the Draknor soldiers. "This is going to get ugly," Rena whispered. "It already is," Hyun replied, looking at the corrupted matrix. It was huge, 3 times the size of Ashura, and it was pulsing with the same sick energy that was killing crystal life forms across the galaxy. Somewhere above them, in the ship, Ashura was dying. Somewhere out in space, thousands more were dying. They had to stop this. They had to destroy the matrix. But how could they do that when they were surrounded by enemies? The answer would have to come soon. Because time was running out. The battle began instantly. Laser fire filled the underground chamber. King Vexthor's warriors fought with incredible skill, but they were outnumbered. The Shadow Collective soldiers kept coming, wave after wave. Hyun ducked behind a piece of broken machinery. Beside him, Tay was studying the corrupted matrix on a handheld scanner. Rena and June were working on their computers, trying to find a weakness in the enemy's systems. Mirai was coordinating with the Draknor warriors, using her negotiation skills to direct the battle. "We need to destroy that matrix," King Vexthor shouted over the noise of weapons. "That is our mission." "Wait," Tay yelled back. "If we just destroy it, the explosion will kill everyone in this facility. And it might not even cure the plague. The energy could spread and make things worse. Then what do we do?" the king demanded. Hyun looked at the matrix. Really looked at it. The gray light pulsing from its core. The sick energy radiating outward. And suddenly he understood. "It's not evil," Hyun said. "It's sick." Everyone stopped and stared at him. "What do you mean?" Rena asked. "Look at it," Hyun pointed. "It's a crystal just like Ashra." The Shadow Collective didn't create a weapon. They took a natural crystal and infected it. They twisted it. They hurt it. And now it's spreading that sickness to other crystals because that's all it knows. Tay's eyes widened. He's right. The signature is almost identical to Ashura's original infection. but amplified 1,000 times. So we don't need to destroy it, Hyun said, standing up despite the danger. We need to heal it. The masked leader of the Shadow Collective laughed. Heal it, you foolish human. That matrix is the most powerful weapon ever created. It cannot be healed. It can only destroy. You're wrong, Hyun said. Everything that's sick can be healed. You just have to care enough to try. He started walking toward the matrix. King Vexthor reached out to stop him, but Hyun shook his head. Trust me, please. Laser fire streaked past him. A Draknor warrior shot down the soldier who had fired. Hyun kept walking. Rina, I need you to prepare the same treatment we used on Ashura, Hyun called out, but much, much stronger. Tae, can you set up heat lamps around the matrix? That's insane, Tae said. But he was already running to the equipment they had brought. But insane might be exactly what we need. The Shadow Collective soldiers realized what Hyun was trying to do. More of them focused their fire on him, but the Draknor warriors formed a protective wall, taking the hits with their armored bodies. Hyun reached the matrix. Up close, it was even more massive. The crystal pulsed with sick gray light. Energy crackled around it. He could feel the wrongness radiating from it. This crystal was in so much pain. He placed both hands on its surface. The matrix reacted violently. Energy surged through Hyun's body. It felt like being struck by lightning. He screamed but did not let go. Hyun! Rina cried out. Keep going! Hyun shouted through gritted teeth. I can feel it. It's scared. It's suffering. It doesn't want to hurt anyone. It just doesn't know how to stop. Rina finished mixing the healing paste. It was in a large container, enough to cover a significant portion of the matrix. June had found power cables and was setting up heat lamps as fast as he could. This is foolishness, the Shadow Collective leader screamed. You cannot heal what was designed to destroy. Warriors, stop them. But King Vexthor roared a battle cry. His warriors pushed forward with renewed strength. They were not just fighting for victory now. They were fighting to give Hyun time to work. Mirai ran to Hyun's side. Tell me what to do. Help me apply the paste, Hyun said. His arms were shaking from the energy coursing through him. Cover as much of the matrix as you can. Together, they began spreading the healing mixture across the giant crystal. It was hard work. The matrix was hot and kept shocking them with bursts of energy. But they did not stop. Tae activated the heat lamps. Special wavelengths of light began bathing the matrix. It was the same treatment that had saved Ashura, but on a massive scale. At first, nothing seemed to happen. The gray light continued to pulse. The sick energy continued to spread. Then slowly, something changed. A small spot on the matrix where Hyun's hands had first touched it began to turn from gray to blue. It was tiny, barely noticeable. But it was there. It's working, Tae breathed. The infection is weakening. Impossible. The Shadow Collective leader raised his own weapon and aimed at Hyun. King Vexthor moved faster than Hyun had ever seen. The king crossed the distance in seconds and knocked the weapon away. No one threatens my allies, he said. Then his fist connected with the masked leader's face. The battle intensified. But now the Draknor warriors were winning. The Shadow Collective soldiers were falling back, realizing their leader had been defeated. Hyun and Mirai kept working. Rina brought more healing paste. June adjusted the heat lamps. And slowly and possibly the blue began to spread. The matrix started to change. The pulsing became more regular. The energy it released felt different. Less angry. Less painful. Keep talking to it, Rina said to Hyun. Like you talked to Ashura. Hyun nodded. He pressed his forehead against the crystal, ignoring the pain. I know you're scared, he said softly. I know they hurt you. They made you into something you were never meant to be. But you don't have to stay that way. You can heal. You can be free. The blue spread faster now. The gray was retreating, shrinking back. And then something amazing happened. The matrix released a pulse of energy. But this time it was not sick energy. It was healing energy. Pure and clean and strong. Hyun felt it wash over him. He felt it flow through the chamber, through the facility, up to the surface, and then out into space. On King Vexthor's ship, Ashura's eyes opened. The gray patches on her body vanished in an instant. She stood up, fully healed, and howled with joy. Across the galaxy, every crystal-based life form that had been infected felt the same healing wave. The plague was not just stopped. It was reversed. The gray forest turned blue again. The crystal birds took flight. Everything that had been dying was suddenly miraculously alive. In the underground chamber, the matrix completed its transformation. It was no longer gray and sick. It glowed with the most beautiful blue light Hyun had ever seen. And instead of spreading sickness, it now radiated health and peace. The remaining Shadow Collective soldiers dropped their weapons. They had fought for what they thought was justice. But seeing the healing that humans were capable of, they realized they had been wrong. King Vexthor approached the matrix. He placed one of his hands on it next to Hyun's. "Thank you," he said quietly. To Hyun or to the matrix, no one was sure. Maybe to both. The Galactic Council received the news within hours. The plague was gone. Not just stopped, but completely cured. Every crystal being that had been sick was now healthy. And it had all been done by humans. The return journey was triumphant. Ashira ran to Hyun the moment he boarded the ship. She was so excited that she nearly knocked him over. Her chiming sounds filled the air like music. "I missed you too." Hyun laughed, hugging her massive neck. When they arrived back at the council station, they were greeted as heroes. Every species wanted to thank them. Every leader wanted to meet them. But the most important moment came when the Galactic Council called an official assembly. The ancient stone being who led the council spoke. "We have witnessed something unprecedented. When faced with a weapon designed to destroy, humanity chose to heal. When given the easy path of destruction, they took the difficult path of compassion. And because of this, millions of lives were saved." He turned to Hyun and the other humans. "We have been wrong about your species. We saw your small size and thought you were weak. We saw your emotional nature and thought you were unstable. We saw your simple methods and thought you were primitive. But now we understand the truth." The council leader bowed. It was the first time in recorded history that he had bowed to anyone. "Humanity is not weak. You are the strongest species we have ever known. Because real strength is not about power. It is not about technology. It is not about conquest. Real strength is about compassion. About caring when caring is difficult. About healing when others would destroy." He straightened up. "We hereby grant Earth a seat of honor in the Galactic Council. And we ask humanity to teach us what you know. Teach us how to care as you care. Teach us how to heal as you heal. Teach us how to see suffering and choose to help no matter the cost." The entire chamber erupted in applause. Every species, even those who had mocked humanity before, was cheering. King Vexthor stepped forward. "I have an announcement as well," he said. His voice carried easily through the chamber. "The Draknor Empire has been a force of destruction for too long. We have ruled through fear. We have taken what we wanted without thought for others. But the humans have shown me a better way." He gestured to Hyun. "This person, this small fragile human, risked everything to save my companion. And then he risked everything again to save the galaxy. Not for glory, not for reward, but because it was right. If someone this small can be this brave, then my entire empire can learn to be better." The king placed one of his hands on Hyun's shoulder. "I am changing how the Draknor Empire operates. From this day forward, we will not be conquerors. We will be protectors. We will use our strength to help others, not to hurt them. And we will follow humanity's example in all things." Ashra chimed loudly as if agreeing.